Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Raila Odinga is making one thing very clear to IEBC, that they must produce and make available the manual register of voters alongside the electronic register ahead of 2022 general election. Raila Odinga is not a madman. And because in politics nothing happens out of mere coincidence, I want us to look at the objectives and why Raila Odinga is making that particular demand to IEBC.
We are saying that manual register is a must at each and every polling station. This is not negotiable. You're telling the IEBC they must have a manual register along with biometric identification of the voters on that polling day. Kabla hivyo hakuna uchaguzi.
And for those who've been following Raila Odinga and his allies, they've been piling a lot of pressure on IEBC of late. Junet Mohammed particularly has been questioning IEBC over the issue of the printing of the ballot papers. But I want us to focus on Raila Odinga's demand, because Raila Odinga is a presidential candidate. And because Raila Odinga has always participated in the elections before, Raila Odinga has participated in the election, he has claimed to have won, his victory has always been stolen, but this time around he's making that demand. And that demand was not made any other place. Raila Odinga made the demands in Kiambu County, the home county to President Uhuru Kenyatta. But before we get into all those details, in case you are watching this channel for the first time, I want you to take a second or two, click the subscribe button, so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue to thank you guys for your continued support, because without the support, this channel cannot be where it is. And I'm very grateful for that support. And I want to make this request to you guys. Please give this video a thumbs up. That's the best way you can always support the channel. And you know, there are those who normally send coffee. You can do that also. Now, I want to be a bit brief because it's morning. I want to go to the point direct. Why do you think Raila Odinga is saying that IEBC must make available the manual register ahead of the elections, and that on the elections day, the register must be availed to Kenyans? Why do you think he's making such demands? The election in Kenya is one of the most expensive elections around the world, and it's normally a very straightforward process. You get into a polling station, then what normally happens is that they will use your biometric, maybe the thumbs, maybe the eyes. In case those cannot work, they key in using your ID, the details will come. Once you are identified positively, then you get into the booth, you are given the ballot papers. That is the presidential, the governor, the senator, the women rep, the MP, and the MCA. Then you take, you throw it there. After that, what will happen is that they'll be counted. Once the counting is done, this should be relayed, now again electronically, and results then announced. It's a straightforward process. Personally, I've never understood why it's that expensive. So the point at which the register, the manual register, is used is when you go to a polling station, your biometrics cannot be found in the register, as such cannot return your details. Then they now go physically into that register to check whether you are actually a registered voter. Once they check that you are a registered voter, because they'll find your name there, then they'll mark that and you are given the document. So it means in a polling station where 700 people are registered and 2 did not find their names in the electronic, then constitutionally their name should be on the manual register. Then they'll be given the ballot papers to cast their votes. So why is Raila Odinga insisting that the manual register must be used? As a matter of fact, it's supposed to be part and parcel of the constitution. I want you to listen to Nelson Harvey before I give you my reasons.
Look, you have the register on the computer.
Yes. Start with registration.
Yes.
That's where it starts.
The registration is a manual process.
Yes.
I'm submitting my ID or passport, okay? And you'll submit it in hard copy. That's the reality of the matter.
Yes.
They will retain these documents. From that information which you've submitted, they mine data which is inputted into a table. And then they print that table which is available for inspection. They're obliged to do that as a matter of law and common sense.
Okay.
You understand? But to reduce on paperwork, because the electoral laws are supposed to travel in tandem with technological development, there ought to be an electronic register. We're not saying that either of them must be excluded. You must have both. You must have the manual register and the electronic register. Just in case a doubting Thomas wants to verify, because how do I know what you're looking at from your computer? Yeah, perhaps I could say, can I have a physical examination?
Let's find my name.
It's just common sense.
Yes.
Often the problem in Kenya is we always create debate out of issues that require no debate. And to this extent, I mean, permit me to say sorry to whoever is in my party and may want to take a divergent view. The legal position is as clear as we have enumerated it. You have a manual register, and then it's succeeded with a digital register. You are required to have both.
At the polling station.
Yes, it's common sense. It is the law. It's the most practical thing to do.
Now, why do you think Raila Odinga is insisting on the manual register? Number one, in my view, and I've stated this before, Raila Odinga is trying to cover any avenue anybody is likely to use to challenge his victory in the upcoming general election. Raila Odinga is so sure of winning this election, but there's a chance that someone can go to court and challenge the results, because Raila Odinga has petitioned the results on 2 occasions. In the last election, the court listened to him and ruled in his favor. But Raila Odinga never bothered to participate in that election because he knew so well that so many things did not change. If Kenyans were to go to the elections without manual register, the truth of the matter is that so many Kenyans, even if they are 20 or 30 or 40, will fail to vote. One of them or 2 of them will go to court. And once they're in court, they'll claim that their rights were denied. And because the courts ruled in the last election that election is not an event, it's a process. That process includes the manual register. So in my view, I strongly believe that Raila Odinga is just trying to cover any avenue anybody is likely to use. Because if you follow the questions which Raila Odinga asked IEBC on the day he submitted his nomination papers, those questions were also just geared towards covering all this. And the person who has been doing this is actually his lawyer, Paul Mwangi. So it means Raila Odinga is actually trying to prevent any avenue anybody might try to use to stop his victory at the courts. So that's number one. Number two, I also tend to think that it has everything to do with the transferred voters. There was a storm which was caused in this country a few weeks ago about an audit which was conducted on the voter register. That audit unearthed over 1 million voters who were transferred. Who transferred them? And they were transferred to which place? IEBC later claimed that the number thing reduced to something like 700 or so. They tried to fix it. But the question is, who transferred those voters? To where? So it means there's going to be so many Kenyans, assuming there's still 1 million, or even that's 700,000 Kenyans whose details were transferred. 700,000 Kenyans missing from the register, from the biometrics, means that they will go to the polling station that day and they will not find their names. How will you ensure that those people vote? That is also something Raila Odinga is trying to cover. Because assuming the 1 million votes were actually transferred by Davis Chirchir, I'm just giving an example, I'm not saying it's same, then they are likely to be Raila Odinga supporters. And again, if they were also just transferred in favor of Raila, then it means it will affect Ruto. So the truth of the matter is that the voters who were transferred is something which is worrying Raila Odinga. Who transferred them? And for what purpose? To achieve what? So it means if you are transferred and you go to a polling station and your biometrics are not there, then you will insist that you are not registered in that polling station. You never transferred. Then you'll go to the manual register and you'll find your name there. The agents will insist, and then you'll be allowed to vote. Dennis Itumbi was alleging that the reason why Raila Odinga and the team are insisting on manual register is to allow them rig. How do you rig using a manual register? You can only rig using electronic, because in the manual register, all the agents will be there. They'll ensure that that name is there. And the manual register is not just the manual register. The original document which was used during the registration. Whenever you went to register, what happened was that your details were being taken and noted down. That is the book Raila Odinga is referring to. So he wants to prevent any possibility of someone playing monkey business by transferring voters. Number three, I also tend to think that Raila Odinga is using this strategy to shade off the project tag. And I'm seeing Kenyans are asking, Raila Odinga has the state, he has the government and the rest. Why is he crying? That is called reverse psychology. So that if we go for an election today, and Raila Odinga is accusing IEBC, is blaming IEBC, then we go to the elections, and the elections favors him, you won't accuse him of being supported by the state, or by the deep state, or by the IEBC. So by Raila Odinga complaining, Kenyans now feel that Raila Odinga doesn't have control over IEBC. If he had control over IEBC, he would not be making these complaints. And therefore, that project tag, which people wanted, which, for example, William Ruto and the team wanted to place on him, is going to be shelved. So that's number three. Number four, I also tend to think that it could be his strategy to avert any possible rigging schemes by their opponents. The truth of the matter is that in 2017 and 2013, the elections were rigged electronically. That is the truth. So which means if the register will not be there, someone might play monkey business, because the register is what will be used to confirm that in this particular polling station, the number of registered voters are 200, for example, because those are the numbers which are in the register. Then you go to the gadgets and confirm that indeed, according to the electronic register, the number of registered voters are also 200, so that you don't have higher number on the electronic register, but on the manual, there are few. So these are the things Raila Odinga, in my view, is trying to avoid. And number four, is it for number five? I think it has everything to do with the verification of the register. An audit was conducted. Is the details in the electronic register tallying with the details on the manual register? Those are the questions. And in my view, Raila Odinga is doing this having participated in the election for a long time. And lastly, I think Raila Odinga is also out to test the preparedness of the IEBC in this particular election. If IEBC is prepared, then they should be able to provide that register because it's a requirement. When IEBC met with the political parties, they made a suggestions that they are not going to use the register. Most political parties demanded, and then they agreed with the political parties that it's going to be a complementary, so that the primary register was going to be the electronic. So it means you go to the polling station, then there's that electronic. You are identified electronically. But Raila is asking them, that's okay, but do you have a register? Because assuming power is going to fail in a place, it has always happened before. Assuming the KIMS kit not going to work, what is going to happen? Are those people going to vote? So if the systems are going to fail in certain areas, because definitely it's going to happen, then an agreement is going to be reached to allow people vote manually. Because in the last election, I remember in some NASA strongholds, the gadgets failed to work. When they started, it was late. But if there was a manual register and there's an agreement that that manual register can be used, then as you wait, then you can start identifying people manually. In my view, those are the issues Raila Odinga is actually trying to ensure that are addressed before going to the polls. I don't know what you think. That's my thoughts. Thank you guys, and please may you have a good day. Bye-bye.